Hey guys, I'm Al Washington, and welcome to my Mystical Laws podcast. I am here with author Mike Diaz, and we're going to be talking about his latest horror, fantasy, suspense anthology book, ESP Pawn Chronicles. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic over to Mike. Mike, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone.
Hey everybody, my name is Mike Diaz. In Georgia right now. It's where I live, and I wrote my first debut book, ESP Pawn Chronicles, and I'm here to get interviewed.
All right, I hear that, Mike. All right, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Firstly, the birth of the ESP Pawn Chronicles. So, how did it start? How did it all start? What really inspired you to write it, and how long did it take you to actually finish the book?
Well, it's probably before you were born.
Oh God.
Let's see, 1994, 5.
Oh,
Uh, wh- a friend of mine, I was in the military. We were stationed in Key West, and a friend of mine got a little high on acid
oh,
and decided to walk back to the base. And on the way, there was a banyan tree. And that person decided to stop and talk to a creature that they saw inside the banyan tree, and then came back and told me this whole crazy story. And that planted a seed. So I actually did a movie script about this creature that lived in a banyan tree, and it would come out every 50 or so years and help humans. And it would help three humans with a wish. But the humans didn't do the wish. He would know what what they needed. And
mhm.
then it was a pretty cool story. Just sat there in my office for years and years and years. And now 2012, I'm working at a pawn shop, and a KKK uniform came through.
Oh,
And I'm looking at it, and my boss is looking at it, and we were like, okay, what are we gonna do with this? You know, should we even buy it? You know, so we went back to the owners and said, hey, we got to have this. What do you want to do with it? Do we just turn the guy away, or do we keep it? And we turned out buying it, and we sold it to a black museum.
oh,
But then when the guy left and we had it, and I was in the office, I held it up, and I had that weird, creepy feeling, like it's an evil thing, in a way.
right.
And I turned to my boss, and I was like, man, if this thing could talk, what would it say? And that stuck with us. So every time another item would come through that was interesting, I always would say that, like, if this thing could talk, what would it say? And that was pretty much the birth of ESP Pawn Chronicles. And from there, I had all these stories in my head. And then I made friends with well, not made friend, a Navy friend of mine during 2020. During COVID, we got back together again. We got back in touch. And he's been in movies. He's a producer director. He's working his way up. And I told him, man, I got this story in my head. It's been there for years. And he's like, write it,
Right.
And then he kept me on. He kept me honest. He would call me. Are you doing it? Are you writing it? And before you knew it, I had a book. And that's it. That's the story.
Right, and you said you had this idea implanted like for years. I know it's like when something sticks with you, that means you definitely have to get it out. I don't know. I'm so glad you said that because it's like that's exactly what it feels like. As I know some people can write a book overnight, quote unquote, but at the same time, when something sticks with you, and I think Stephen King also said something back in a past interview. One of his recent books, I can't remember, it was like The Dome or something. He said he had that idea since high school, and he was
Yeah.
kind of sitting with it, marinating it, and letting it. I guess he didn't really know what to do with it at that time, but it was still sat with him. So when something's a good idea or something that's planted in your head, it's just there's a reason for it. I truly believe that. So yeah, I think that's yeah. And when you mentioned objects with the supernatural, I love the supernatural horror, obviously,
Yeah.
especially when I'm working on my own first novella for it. So I definitely love your concept when it comes with the chronicles, with your book chronicles. So not giving too much away for your book, was there a scene or a chapter that it was the most challenging of them all? Like, and
It
how did you
would
get through it?
it would probably be the first chapter, which is the KKK outfit, because in the
Oh,
times we live in, it's very hard to speak about stuff like that, without getting canceled or saying the wrong thing, or it's just felt like a lot of pressure to get it right. Like certain words aren't were used back in the 60s that are not used now.
right.
So how do I and it was based in that era. So how do I use those words and not get in trouble, or not use those words, but figure out a way to make the hate come out, in the book, because I was part of it, right?
Right.
And just in case if the listeners are listening, it's a good story. It's a happy ending. It's not all about hate. It's not a racism kind of book or story. It's just that was the uniform, and the uniform itself when it spoke. I'll give this out. Was not racist. It hated being what it was, but it had no choice.
Right.
So that's the struggle. And along the way, the person wearing it also has a big struggle and a big thing that happens to him that changes his mind. And in later years, he regrets what he did. Right.
Hmm.
So that's pretty much, but that took me, that was probably the hardest one. I don't know how many rewrites I did. I had to give it to friends to read to see what their gauge was, if it was too much or too little, or, so I think that was the most difficult one for me. But since I rewrote it so many times, I think it's the best one. The
Okay.
best, so it's kind of interesting how that worked out.
Interesting. Okay. Definitely. I hear that, man. And what me on my next question for you, what it goes in saying is that, so what inspired you for your main characters? Like I said, especially for the pawn, the one that who's running the shop. Do you have any
Well,
like, inspiration?
it would probably be across the manager that I had at the time and myself. I kind of mixed those two together to get the guy, which his name is Jim. He's the one that gets to touch the items and gets the stories.
Hmm.
And then for Uncle Joe, I wanted to go with the Daisy. I don't know if you remember the Dukes of Hazzard. You ever
I
seen
heard
it?
of it vaguely.
Okay.
It was in the 70s or something, right? I don't,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
something.
there's a character called Uncle Jesse. There's an old guy with a white beard, and he's kind of a cool guy. Said he would say things sometimes that was kind of comedy relief, or. So I decided that's the kind of character I wanted because it's based in the South. It's based in Georgia. So I
Right.
wanted that Southern guy with the Southern sayings, the bless your heart or whatever, those kind of sayings. So I wanted that kind of feel. And then eventually in the book, there's a new character that's somebody that gets hired. So it's a trainee, and her name is Mandy. But pretty much everything that she talks about, her experiences were pretty much me.
Oh, wow.
My
Okay.
experiences. So
Right.
together, they pretty much tell the story of the pawn shop and all the different items, and the overall main character is the pawn shop itself because it holds all the items like
Right.
in a jail, right?
Yeah.
So I try to keep that. So it's like there's 20, I think, short stories, but the main story or the overreaching story is the pawn shop and the main characters.
Hmm.
But every story is different. I don't know if that helps.
No, it definitely does help. And obviously it's an anthology. So yeah, and
Yeah,
the main thing is the whole supernatural. So I love it. Like I said, I think it's
yeah.
great so far. Absolutely. Okay. Definitely for that. You mentioned on your website that Stephen King and The Twilight Zone, Rod Sterling is definitely a heavy inspiration, you said, for you. I think your favorite author and your favorite TV show. Do you happen to have a favorite episode of The Twilight Zone and a favorite book of Stephen King? I'll give you mine
Uh,
first.
okay,
The Twilight Zone, love the show to pieces. Oh my God, definitely heavily inspiring for me. Two of my favorite episodes is Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up and The Mask.
okay.
So The Mask is definitely influencing and inspiring to me, especially it's a very big influence on my first novella, The Mask. And Stephen King, big fan of. I love it and
Mhm.
his book Misery. So you go ahead. Do you have any favorites of
So I have three for Stephen King, but I've
Okay.
read so many. They're all
Right.
good. It would be It too, and I read it in seventh grade, and I
Right.
read it in 3 days. And you know how thick that book was. I read
Oh,
it, yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
And Misery, I love Misery, and the movie was great. They did a good job. But if you haven't read Misery, you should. It's probably one of my favorite. And The Mist.
Okay, I didn't read The Mist. I did read Misery, and Misery is definitely a little more darker than the movie. The movie was good overall in
Yeah,
general, but the book, obviously, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, definitely has a darker tone. It
yeah.
obviously has a darker tone. The remake for the It definitely fit the darker
It
tone. The
was
original
better.
It was
Yeah.
good too, the 1990 version, but the newest one was at 2000, what, 17 or whatever. That was definitely
It
I
was
don't know.
better.
Exactly. Yeah, the colors, the visuals and stuff definitely fit the tone. Did you like you said you liked the remake, right? Did
Yeah,
you?
I like the remake, especially when everything was happening underground, the
Right.
sewers, and
Yeah.
that's what I imagined when I was reading the book. So yeah, I liked it. It was good.
Really? Oh, yeah. Yes. Definitely for that one. So, what about Twilight Zone? Did you have any favorite episodes or
Twilight
anything?
Zone, I've I would think it would be the angel one as one of the angels. It's about a sales guy. He's older, and death comes knocking, and he says, "Hey, by midnight, I'm taking you." And he's a salesman, so he's like, "Can I get out of this? Like, can you give me one thing before I die? I want to do the best sales I ever did." He's a street sales guy. He has a little briefcase that he sells stuff out in the street.
Oh,
And so he thought he had a loophole and he was going to get away and live forever because he would probably never do the best sale of his life. And it's getting closer to midnight. It's getting closer to midnight, and he looks like he's getting away, and a little girl that lived in his apartment complex gets hit by a car, and everybody goes outside, and Death is sitting there, and he looks up and sees Death, and Death is like, "I'm taking her if I can't take you." So he had so many hours to do the best sale of his life. So he could take the place of the little girl. And he does.
damn, Mike, I didn't look that up. I never saw that episode on
Yeah,
Twilight Zone. What the
it's
hell?
really good.
That sounds really good. Damn, okay. All right. Thank you. I'm gonna have to look that up. I love the show to pieces. Okay. So you definitely got a major influence for that. And speaking of which, because you mentioned that you one day would love to have the book turned into a movie. So just hypothetically, I wanted to ask you if you had to pick an actor or a director, who inspired you and who would you pick as an actor, like to be your main owner of the pawn shop? If you had your pick.
Actors difficult because I really don't really watch much. It'll be the old ones like I don't even know, the yeah, I wouldn't know, but for definitely for the directors, it would be somebody like Guillermo del Toro or Quentin Tarantino or maybe Robert Rodriguez. Definitely
Okay.
that would because those are my influences too. That I like those guys. Uh, for for the main character, which is Jim, it'd have to be somebody in his 30s,
Okay.
uh, skinny but kind of rugged looking because he's a Marine, and
Okay.
so that would be the it. I don't know any the new actors or young actors because I really don't.
No, you
Uh,
really don't watch a lot of like movies.
yeah.
No, I was just using a hypothetical. I know because you mentioned that if you ever wanted to see it or create it on the big screen, just kind of say like a mood board of who would you, envision or get
What's the
inspired.
guy's
Yeah.
name from the Galaxy
Chris
movie?
Pratt.
Yeah, maybe somebody like that. But I think he's already too old. But yeah, maybe somebody like Chris Pratt.
Okay. I
Kind of
think
cool.
that's it. Guardians of the Galaxy. Is that Chris?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
Guardians of the Galaxy. That's it.
okay. Yeah, okay. So very interesting. Yeah. All right. Mr. Want to talk for Mario, I think. Yeah, he did talk for the Super Mario Brothers. I'm excited for the sequel to come out. I'm sorry, on a
Oh,
side
cool.
note. So, did you like the first one? Did you like the first Super Mario Brother movie?
Which movie?
It was a super you said, well, what was a Super Mario
Oh,
Brothers?
I
Like
didn't see
the animation
it.
with the Jack Black. Okay, I guess not. Okay,
Oh,
whatever.
sorry.
No, it's okay. Chris Pratt talks for Mario. Yeah,
Got it.
he
All right.
voices Mario. So, but no, it was just on a side note. I'm excited for the sequel. Anyway, so Mike, let me ask you. I like to ask all my guests this: what made you overall want to become a writer? Did something or someone lit a fire under your ass to bring out your passion as a writer? And I know you will definitely want to continue, but what really
That
wanted?
would be Derek Williams. He's the guy I was telling you about. He was in the Navy with me. We were trying to make a movie back in the day in Italy while we were stationed there, and
Mhm.
we became friends. And then we kind of lost touch. And in 2020, we found each other again. And in conversation, I was telling him about the history of my idea, and he just said, "You got to do it." And from then on, we I just started doing it. He would check in on me to keep me honest and see where I'm at. And eventually, I think it took about maybe 6 or 7 weeks to get the 75,000 words done.
Oh, wow.
So I was done in 6 or 7 weeks, but it was really rough draft. I had my ideas on paper, I had the storyline, and then from then on, it was just tweaking it and having people read it, and that's what took too long. It took 2 years to actually publish the book, but then again, I did it by myself. I didn't know what I was doing. I did
Right.
my own cover, so it was a lot of work. But it was him. He's the one that I credit for getting me out there and actually doing it.
No, and congratulations, man. I'm definitely happy for you. You just been honest with yourself. You didn't know what you're doing, but you started. You live and you
Yeah.
learned, and you're going to learn better as you keep doing it. So yeah, absolutely. Versus as other people just think that doing one book or draft is like, oh, this is a masterpiece, and they can use AI. No, and that advice goes for me too. Is that I do get stuck, I do get frustrated, and I do question myself just with doubts. But in order for me to get better, I have to
Yeah,
keep going.
true.
Right. That's just me. I mean, don't quit because I don't. It's just I need to take a, like I said, break, and really, really do it. But yeah,
And it's cool because this I'm doing the prequel now, and
nice.
the stories I think are a lot better. A lot. I see improvement, so that it makes me happy. That I took some of the criticism, which wasn't bad. I have pretty decent reviews, but the
Hmm.
little reviews that I did get that were like maybe like threes or twos or whatever, where the person didn't like it for whatever reason, I took that into account because nobody was rude or mean
Right.
or said I sucked or anything like that. But there was some tidbits in there that I could learn from, and so I used that to help me write this next book. It's like, okay, that's a good criticism. I'm gonna take that and run with it, or or this one wasn't too good, like you
Right.
know. So, but yeah,
No, like you said, the criticism, but then maybe not apply to you. Say, okay, thank you again, but it
yeah,
doesn't, I'm not going to use it for my idea. But thank you for letting me know.
right.
Yeah, just like you said, okay, thank you, but yay, nay, let me think about it. Yeah, so absolutely. I definitely hear that, man.
Yeah.
No. And speaking of which, going to my next question, do you have any tips or pointers for all creative writers?
All right. So this quote is not mine,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's just shut up and write. That's it. Shut up and write. And if you've been on Facebook long enough and seen the writing clubs and the writing, everybody's always complaining. Everybody's always, you know, talking about their writing. Hey, does this work? Does this work? Oh, I don't have my muse. My muse hasn't shown up, or whatever it is. And to me, it's very easy. Even the people that have been working on a project for years, 5 or 6, 15 years, they've been writing the same book and never done it. It was like, shut up and write. You're not writing enough. You're not putting your time into that book because it shouldn't take, for me, in my opinion, it shouldn't take 15 years. You should be able to sit there and like, or Nike, just do it.
Yeah.
Quit complaining, quit putting oh, I got to work all day and I got the kids, or I'm cooking, or I take trips that I have to go for work or whatever. No, if I could do it, if I could wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, and write 30 minutes or 50 minutes or whatever it is, you could do it too.
You're
So I
right.
guess that's my main thing is, and I saw it on a lady's shirt, and I asked her about it, and it's actually some author made it famous, that quote, "Shut up and write," and it just stuck with me. I was like, that's so true.
And you said it may take some people like 15, 16 years. I know it's not where they want it to be. Do you think it's because of fear they don't want to show it to anybody, or is it just simply it's just not there yet? Like I still need to work on it. I mean,
I think there's a lot. It's like for me, I wasn't
right,
really intent on writing a book. I wasn't going that route. I just had this idea, just sat there and sat there. In fact, the first idea that I had, which was the creature in the banyan tree, that was done. I finished it and just put it in
right,
a drawer because I was thinking movie, I was thinking script, and that was never going to happen. But I think people tend to be trying to figure out like perfectionists, and
right.
you can't be a perfectionist because then you'll never finish that first chapter because you're going to go back and rewrite it again. You're going to edit it. You're going to do this. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that. And you're your worst critic. You're just a critic. You're your worst. And you're just tearing instead of just going from A to B, finish it, get it done.
Right.
Then go back and edit. Then do what I did, where I asked friends to read it and give me ideas. Hey, does that work? Or they might find a mistake or a plot hole that you can fix. But if you have excuses and you never want to and you never want to keep going with it because you're scared, fear. There's just so many different reasons why people life, somebody passes away, you got to work on that,
Right.
and some COVID hit, and you lost your job. There's a lot of things that could happen,
That's right.
but if you have that in your brain, shut up and write. You're telling your brain like, hey, I got to do this. And then one of the things I would do when I would get stuck is I would stop, put it away, put the
Right.
story away, and write another story. So I would just read about a dog and a cat having a conversation outside, you know,
Yeah.
and then the next day I'll be back in my book again, and something happens, your creative juices start going, and you're back to writing again.
Yeah.
Is that too much?
No, no, you're absolutely right. And that's what it feels like. And at the same time, when you mention that when people say with the editing situation, to be honest, editing is a pain in the ass. Some people like doing it. I'm not one of those people, but at the same time, it's like, no, seriously, it's like when you mentioned that the editing, people don't want to edit, they want to just, like you said, perfectionist. But at the same time, like I said, some people feel that they do one draft, that's it. And
Yeah.
anyway, like my book may have shorter pages, your book may be longer than mine or anybody else's, but at the same time, it's like we really, and I guess some people are just leaning on, I don't know, just like with the new AI or whatever, like, oh, I'll just, no, no, no. I mean, rewriting, that's what reading, that's part of the process.
Yeah.
So I know it, because like how you said it, you just hit it on the head. It's just like consistently rewriting, and I just, I mean,
It's crazy because there was days when I didn't want to write, but I would take my son to that's another thing. I found a routine. I had to take my son to go running in the morning for
right,
school, like at 4 or 5 in the morning. So I'm up. So I drive him there. I didn't want to drop him off and come back and get him. So I'd stay in the parking lot and I would write there. Uh, it's just you have to want it, and I think everybody has a story in them.
yeah,
uh, like you said that earlier, everybody has a story in
right,
them. You just got to get it out, and the only way you're gonna get it out is if you write it. And then it might suck. It might not make any sense, but you finished from point A to point B. You got it done, and now is when you do your editing process and all that stuff. But people don't do that. Some people, as they write, they edit, and for me, I can't do that because I'll lose my train of thought. I'm
right,
working on the story, and it start. Oh, this and they talk to me. It's like it's weird. The characters come alive, and the story comes
right.
alive. And if I pause or stop, it's over. So
Right. It's where our brains again are programmed to like edit. No, this is a period. No, this doesn't make sense. It is a famous another quote. I can't remember the guy's name. He was a famous Japanese author, I think Akira, but he said first write from your heart, then the second draft you write from your head. So kind of like just first draft, just write it out. Just write it. Don't think about it.
yeah,
No punctuation, no grammar, nothing. Then the second draft, you got to act like a damn scientist. So I guess with the rewrite or whatever. But like you just said, sometimes it is difficult because sometimes I'll get like, oh God, the editing. I just wrote this down. What the hell? This doesn't make any sense. So I know exactly what you mean. It's just like it's just in your head. It's like a movie.
yeah.
It's playing in your head. But when you get it on paper, you're like, what the? Excuse my language. What the fuck did I write? So that yeah, that's yeah.
Are you a pantser or a planner? Do you know what that means?
Uh,
Pantser or a planner?
not I don't know what pantser means.
Okay,
I'm more.
so
Go
I'm a
ahead.
pantser. So a
Okay.
pantser is somebody that just doesn't outline or plan anything. He just starts writing. So for me, I have an ending, and I have a
Okay.
beginning, and I have a very very small outline because there's some points I got to meet throughout the story that I have to hit right to get to where I want at the end. So I might have 10 or 15 little bullet points. Like I
Right.
got to make sure my character gets from A to B, or my story gets from A to B, and it makes sense. And the hero's journey or whatever it is, the acts, act one, act two, act three, whatever is set up in the books and makes sense. But then I just write. And then there's the
Okay.
planners, and the planners are the ones that they'll make their world, and once they got their world, then they try to figure out, okay, what are my characters gonna look like. They know their eye color, they know their blonde, they know their names,
Right.
they know their backstory. They wrote a backstory about the thing, about the character, and they'll do all of this, and they'll do like outlines for everything, and it'll be
Right.
pages and notes and things like that. That's a planner.
Okay.
And so for me, it's easy. Everything I'm saying is from the pantser point of view because I just sit there and I write.
Well, like, okay, I don't know if this will help. I'm more, I guess, in between. So some like, okay, my first novella I'm working on is called Piggy Piggy. It's a supernatural horror. I have an outline, but I'm plugging and playing. So I am creating the world as I'm writing. I don't know if that,
Yeah,
like
that's
I
all
said,
what I do. Yeah,
you do that. Okay, as well.
yeah,
So me, instead of me doing, like you said, backstories and really doing outlines for each character, I'm doing it as I go. So I have an outline. It's not fleshed out. Like I said, I plug and play. I do the basic of the outline. Okay, if you have to start from the beginning or whatever and then go middle to end. So I do that. And then, like I said, I'll flesh it out. It's just more like plugging and playing. And as time goes on, if I can finish it, I'll just, like I said, plug and play with the world, plug and play with the characters. So I don't know if
right.
that helped, but I guess not.
Yeah, it's
So,
kind of the same thing. Like for me, I just need a GPS, a
right.
map. But I don't need to write the whole entire story or a lot for the outline because I let the characters take me there. Their conversations, where they're going, what they're doing. But I gotta make sure that the ending or the twist or whatever it
Yeah.
is gonna be in line with where they're going. So that's why I said I just need a one page outline, maybe five
Exactly.
or six bullet points or whatever, and then I just go.
Okay. Yeah, I hear that, man. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So everybody, we write differently. We
Yep.
have our different styles. Absolutely. So, Mike, I do want to thank you again. Thank you so much for coming on to my loft to talk about your new book, ESP Pawn Chronicles. Guys, it's out on Amazon. Definitely check it out. Do you want to let everybody know where they can find you, your website or Amazon,
Yep.
anything?
So for website is Mike Diaz author.com. And from there, it'll take you to the book. Because I only have one. I have two short stories also in Amazon that you can look at. And then I'm on Facebook and X pretty much. I am on TikTok and all of those and YouTube, but I don't do as much as I should there. So I don't have very my big following base is X, and then it would be Facebook for after that.
Okay, I definitely will appreciate it, Mike. Thank you. And definitely, they all definitely do appreciate it. So thank you again, and guys, and thank you again for joining me and Mike with this conversation. And definitely check out his book, ESP Pawn Chronicles. And I will see you guys next time.
Thank you.